Bula Vinaka and a warm welcome. This is Speak Your Mind on your only classic hits radio station. Gold FM, only the classic hits. And we've got our guest in the studio today coming in from the UN Women Pacific Sub-Regional Office. And he's a Deputy Resident Representative, Mr. Nicolas Bernia. Very warm welcome to you, my friend.
Bula Vinaka.
Bula Vinaka. Well, we are here actually to be talking about the upcoming International Women's Day. That's happening on March the 8th. So just before that, maybe just a quick introduction from you.
Sure, of course. Well, first, thank you very much for having us here. I think it's absolutely fantastic that Gold FM and FBC are taking on the issue of gender equality on the air. We say that media has a critical role in advancing the cause of gender equality in the world and, of course, in the Pacific. So congratulations on you, and we really look forward to having a good hour of talk with the various of our program managers this morning to really describe sort of the work we do and why gender equality is so important for the Pacific.
Vinaka, Mr. Bernet. So how long have you been in Fiji for?
It's been about 6 months now.
Okay.
It's been a fantastic ride. Very, very interesting, and really feel like we've done some great work. We've been here for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But the more we go ahead, the more we see that really there's a unity between partners, whether it's regional agencies, the CROPs, PIFs, SPCs, civil society organizations, and member states to really work hand in hand on gender equality. And it's been something absolutely warming up for me. I came from New York, from my headquarters, and to see this level of integration and really will of the region to make a change is fantastic and very encouraging for our work.
Exactly, that's absolutely right. Now, I believe the first International Women's Day was held in 1911. Do you think women have made great progress since then?
Women have definitely made a great progress. The question is more, have we as societies made great progress?
Okay.
1911 is more than 100 years ago. Yet today, gender inequality remains probably the single largest violations of human rights around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it clearly means that we got something wrong still,
Yes.
We went ahead. I think women have the right to vote, women work, do a lot of things that they couldn't do. But if you look at the data, still around the world, more than 1 out of 3 women will be victim of violence during their lifetime. That's massive. That's just look around you, 1 out of 3. In the Pacific, those numbers are 2 out of 3 women.
That's really bad, And it's just so nice to see that you as a man, speaking for our rights. It feels really good, and I'm sure that you have lots of men who have the same mindset as you.
Well, thank you. I think we do increasingly. For a very long time, the feminist fight was fought by women, and they did fantastic. But it's high time that in the 21st century, we engage men and boys, because the problem with gender inequality is not women, it's men. And it's the power and the structure of power in society. So we need to change that. And UN Women launched last year a fantastic new campaign program called He for She.
Okay.
You might have heard about it. It was launched by Emma Watson, if you remember from the Harry Potter movies.
Yes.
She's become one of our champions. And it really aims at engaging men and boys, really saying that men and boys need to take account and to be responsible for changes for women. Because what we say is gender equality is in favor of everybody. It's
Right.
not just for women. It benefits societies.
Exactly.
And, we just heard news a little earlier about how the Fiji Sevens are doing. And I like to take this comparison with rugby. You do not go to rugby 15 game with a rugby 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't win that game. You would be obliterated.
Right.
Well, it's the same in development, it's the same in our societies. How can we expect to develop and to go forwards as nations if we only engage half of our team, half of the society, which is men?
Right.
No, we need everybody on board.
Yes, exactly. I mean, from a very young age, we spoke about, education, changing the mindsets of just the community as a whole. So how is the UN managing to do that in the Pacific? Because I know that we have a sort of a patriarchal that we follow,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's okay for a woman, to get told off by a man, and, they are, subservient to the men. So I think that would make it a bit difficult in the Pacific.
Well, we have seen change, and there's clearly a very patriarchal society in the Pacific, but it's not always been like that. Actually, a lot of Pacific countries and territories used to have matriarchal societies in the past. So it's very important to change mentalities, to engage with the local actors, to engage with who's responsible and who's listened to. For instance, there's a really important role that the church has to play. In the Pacific, the church is the pillar of society, right?
Exactly.
And it used to be the case that when women were victims of violence, they would go to their priest or pastor and say, explain the situation. And their priest or pastor would say, go back to your husband, read the Bible again and be a better spouse.
Right.
They weren't being part of the solution, they were being part of a problem.
Exactly.
Now we've seen the Pacific Christian Council of Churches, the Vanuatu Christian Council really come on board and start working, developing gender strategies to talk about gender equality within the church, to talk about violence against women within the church, and to engage their congregations in a positive way. So it's all about having those approaches. There's no one-size-fits-all model. You really need to look at the specificities of each country and engaging everybody.
That's right. So it's going to be quite a lot of work to do, but I'm sure you can. Education, if you teach people like from a young age, like if you have sons, get them out of that thinking that, oh, we're the guys, women, you serve us.
And, totally. And we say education is the single silver bullet if you want to change development and for the better for women too. We've seen fantastic progress in the number of women and girls basically following education through primary and secondary education. But we also need to see education being gender sensitive, exactly like you mentioned. In the region, for instance, UNICEF has new programs on early childhood, which actually have gender sensitive components. And it starts at the youngest age. Children reproduce what they see in school, they reproduce what they see at home. So also, it's the combination of both, but it definitely starts at home and in the school.
Okay, well, thank you for that. What does International Women's Day represent, do you think?
It's a single day in the year where it's important to remind to the world the importance of women and the role of women. And sometimes people tell us, well, what about a International Men's Day? It's not fair, you have International Women's Day. And we're like, just look around you. You know what? It's International Men's Day 364 days of the year. You might not know it, but that's the way it is. And what we should have is that it's International Day of men and women, of gender equality, every single day of the year. We're a long way away from that. And so as long as we're not there, we need that day where the world comes together. And that's really important. It's celebrated across the world. The world comes together to remind the world that women are part of the solution.
Well, thank you so much for that, Mr. Bernier. But we'll be back on Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits, in a moment. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. So we continue with our very interesting discussion here as we lead up to International Women's Day on March the 8th. And I do have here with us the Deputy Resident Representative from the UN Women Pacific Sub-Regional Office, Mr. Nicolas Bernier. Well, it's been wonderful talking to you, but I just wanted to ask you, what events do you have locally to celebrate International Women's Day?
Well, we across the Pacific, we partner, UN Women partners with actually the rest of the UN family and civil societies and governments to really host events and host celebrations. In Fiji, we're actually partnering this year with the Fiji Women's Rights Movement. We are organizing a big event for families, a family fun day in Sukuna Park on Saturday morning from about 9 to 2 p.m., I think, if I'm remembering
that's
correctly.
Lovely.
It starts
that's
at
a
9.
long program. And Skunapaki and Suva, yes?
Exactly, and it's going to be lots of fun. So I invite everybody to come down. There'll be booths, there'll be activities and games, and it's really going to be celebrating the vivacity and the creativity of women and girls of Fiji.
Wonderful. Now, what are some of the achievements do you think the UN has discovered so far for our local women?
We've actually We've done actually quite a lot in the Pacific. We've achieved a lot of progress. And recently, we're sort of like summarizing the results of last year. Across the Pacific, for instance, last year, 4 new countries actually implemented developed new legislation on violence against women, which they didn't have before. That's massive.
Yes.
We recently had elections. The elections in Fiji were great results for women, the highest rates of women's participation and women being elected in the region. And obviously, having a women speaker of the House is a great statement, I think, for the country. Very disappointing results in Tonga and Solomon Islands, where, in Solomons only 1 woman was elected, in Tonga none of them. But we have to look at the positive, and the positive is that the women came out voting in much larger number, and that the women candidates who ran were in much larger number. So we think we're in the right path.
Okay.
So there's a lot of progress made.
Well, that's great. And you had something that you want to talk about, the Commission on...
The status of women.
That's the one,
just maybe to share with your audience that, Starting on Monday next week, there will be a huge intergovernmental event for 2 weeks happening in New York, bringing together all the member states of the world. And UN Women has been working with our local and regional partners, with PIFs, SPCs, and with civil society, to really bring the largest possible delegation of the Pacific. Because we think it's extremely important for the Pacific to have a loud voice. And we've seen in recent negotiations around the world that the Pacific has come really to the front and to the fore on 2 issues. On climate change, and you might have heard of this fantastic event where in September, the poet from the Republic of Marshall Islands came to the General Assembly and really read this poem and moved everybody. And but the Pacific has also come together on gender. And it's so important that in these international events, the views of Pacific women are well represented. So that's what we're working on. And there will be a number of events where Pacific participates. And this commission will look specifically at the Beijing Platform for Action, which is this big document that was negotiated in 1995. Over 50,000 women participated. And it's the blueprint for gender equality and progress. And we're 20 years later. So we're going to look what happened in 20 years. What did happen in the last 20 years? How much progress have we made?
Yeah.
Where are the gaps? And we're hoping that with those gaps, we will be able to say, for the future, as you probably know, the MDGs are over this year.
That's
the
right.
Millennium Development Goals.
Exactly.
So we have a new arrangement for next year. And we need to say, for the future, we need a full goal for development just for gender equality. Because by 2030, gender equality must be a thing of the past, history. We say 2030 must be the expiration date for gender inequality.
But I find it really good that you've set out these 8 Millennium Goals. And I know that Goal 3 is the one to promote gender equality and empower women. So how well are we doing here?
Goal 3 is the goal where we've progressed the least in the world and in the Pacific, especially on maternal and reproductive health. And so one of the issues that we say is that MDGs had gender, but it was too limited. For instance, you didn't take into account the MDGs violence against women, whereas we know it's one of the largest problems in the world.
Yes.
There was nothing on unpaid care work. And we know how much women in the Pacific spend time, caring for their home, growing crops for the families, etc. So we need for the future a goal that's much more comprehensive, that doesn't have those gaps. Because we deeply believe that if you don't have gender equality fully embedded in the development framework, you will have no progress across any of the other goals.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's a great way of monitoring and making sure that, people of the different countries in the world follow up. And that's really good, I think, what the UN has done. But do you have any exciting and powerful campaigns in Fiji to raise awareness of educating women on their rights?
Well, we will be launching actually in just next week a new campaign called Step It Up, by which we will ask all governments of the region to make concrete commitments on how they will accelerate progress for women in the world. And so this is actually a global campaign, but we will launch it in the Pacific. And there will be an opportunity this year in September at the General Assembly for heads of states to actually announce what these commitments would be. So we really hope that there will be a bit of competition between Pacific countries. Yeah. Obviously, Fiji has to come first. But we want to see them just take really concrete commitments and concrete actions.
This is really interesting. So just from your point of view as being a male and, helping us advocate for our rights, what would you like to tell other fellow men about International Women's Day? A message from you.
That message is International Women's Day is their day too. It's the day of women and men, just being it together. And be a reminder that these issues are not just something we talk about, it's something we see just every day. Just yesterday from my office, just across the street on Victoria Parade, we actually saw women being beaten in the parking lot. So we ran down with our team, separated them and advised and counseled the women on contacting the Fiji Women's Crisis Center. You're very lucky that there's very strong services in Fiji. But it was a stark reminder about how, you look at the ocean from the view, it's beautiful, the Pacific.
Right.
But gender inequality is still a reality that's lived every single day by women. And men need to be part of the solution. It's their fight too and their responsibility.
That's exactly right. Well, it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you very much. And, we'll have in the next segment our other guests who are waiting.
Exactly. Some of my colleagues will talk about our fantastic work on women's economic empowerment and the work we do with market vendors here in Fiji. And later on, one of my colleagues dealing with violence against women will also focus a little bit more closely on the work we're doing.
Lovely.
Thank you so much for having us.
Lovely to talk to you too. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on your only classic hits radio station in Fiji, Gold FM, only the classic hits, and you are most welcome if you'd like. Well, this is live on radio, but the delayed coverage on FBC TV. So if you're listening in right now, you're most welcome if you'd like to call 3220907 just to be a part of discussions. But yep, we turn now to our next guest in the studio. We have from the UN Women, Priya Ieli. A very warm welcome to you, Priya.
Thank you so much.
Naka, and also Charlotte, you're a market vendor. A warm welcome to you too.
Thank you.
Okay, now I believe, Priya, that you would be part of the Women's Markets for Change project. Yes, and could you please tell us more about it?
Thank you. Actually, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity for having us here today. The Women's Economic Empowerment Program for UN Women, under this flagship program, we have the Markets for Change projects, whereby we look at 3 Melanesian countries, Fiji, Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu. And by far, we have the most markets under this project in Fiji. We have 10 municipal markets, which we actually work with in this project. We work very closely with the market vendors and also with the local authorities, the local government and the Ministry of Local Government, with the Ministry of Women as well. And this program, actually, Markets for Change, was launched officially last year in Fiji. And through this program, we are looking at 4 thematic areas where we'll be working very closely with market vendors, looking at market spaces as an enabling environment whereby we are working very closely with Salote and her team, for example, from the Nosori market, who now have an executive committee and an association. And she is part of a training, capacity development training, whereby they are undergoing leadership training this week leading up to International Women's Day.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, and together with this projects, we are also looking at working very closely with the municipal councils and the market management, looking at areas of financial management, operations, good governance. Also, a major component is on the infrastructure improvements within markets.
Mm-hmm.
And as I had said earlier on, we are working very closely with the market vendors, and it's great to see that a huge amount of women are coming out to attend these workshops that we have been arranging with our colleagues from the NGOs, from the CSOs, also from other UN agencies, and we have plans for this projects for the next 6 years. And
that's really good. That's very long. But I think we'll turn over to Salote now. And Salote, your experience, would you be able to share with us as a market vendor?
Thank you. As a market vendor, I started 20 years ago. I started with selling grog, and from then it's a family business. We've got 2 stalls of grog, and after 1 year, I jumped to the vegetables section. With women, they prefer to be on the vegetable sections because you do the cooking every day. I prefer that.
Okay.
So it's been, I've been in the market for 20 years.
That's a long time. And you must have faced quite a lot of hardships, I would imagine.
Oh yes, there's a lot of competitions. Especially when you are new in the market, you have to get used to your surroundings and your neighbors. And you have to get to know your farmers, especially if you don't have any farm, and your middlemen. And you have to compete with the prices.
Yes, exactly. So how have you found this UN Women's Market for Change? How has it helped you?
I want to thank the UN Women for coming into the market to help us women. As for women, especially, they've done a lot of trainings, and these trainings help us women in seeing yourself in the market, how you are and what you can be, and how to mix around with your
colleagues. Right, like
especially
to get
with
on.
men.
Oh,
especially
okay.
with men.
Okay.
Yes, I know men don't like women talking to them saying this and that.
Oh.
So now we have found a place, we know where we stand.
Great. So they've educated you on that. So you've
Right.
learned a lot,
Yes,
haven't
we've
you?
learned a lot.
Okay, so now you're not gonna bow down to the men. Sorry, but you're gonna just actually get on. I mean, why
Yes,
not? Eh?
we do, yeah.
Okay, so anything else that you'd like to mention?
To me, the market is very, I prefer selling in, before I didn't like the market.
Oh, okay.
Because, well, now people seem to look down at us in the market. But to me, what I've seen, it has done a lot to our family.
Oh, that's exactly right. You put food
And
on
I
the
prefer,
table.
yes, I prefer selling in the market than getting a job.
Yeah, I mean, because it's just like doing your own business.
Yes.
Yes,
And you
so
feeding your family
yes,
every
and
day.
sending them to school. I mean, I admire
Yes.
you for that. Yes, and so how are you finding the Nosori market? That's been all done up too, has it?
No, it's incomplete yet.
Okay.
We're looking at maybe another 1 or 2 months again
Okay.
before we move into a new market.
So you must be looking forward to that.
Of course.
And
yes.
especially with the
You
training
and
that
women,
you've
yes.
received. So what would you like to highlight like more of the training that really helped you?
Especially in leadership is what we having today, and 3-day workshop, a 2-day
Okay.
workshop, leadership training. It helps me as a president of the Nasori Women Market Vendors, and it helps my colleagues because we have sections and we have reps from there, and mostly they don't know where they stand. As from today, I know when they go back to the market, they know where they stand.
So you are confident now.
Of course, 100%.
Very confident. So when you say you know where you stand, can you explain a little bit more?
We, when I say we know where we stand, I mean as a woman. Before you can't stand in front of a man to talk back. It's
Okay.
always them who says yes and no. But now you know what to say and you know how to talk to them, and you
Right.
can mix around with them.
That's
what
wonderful. That's wonderful. That's being educated, and that's all that you need in life to know and be confident that we are all the same.
I mean. Right.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. But we'll have to end this segment now. We'll be back for more on Gold FM, only the classic hits. See you shortly. A warm welcome once again. We're back on Speak Your Mind. This is Gold FM, only the classic hits, your classic hits radio station in Fiji. But we do have this talk back live on radio, and you are, well, now the delayed coverage shown on FBC TV every Tuesday night as well as Wednesday morning. Now, we've got in the studio for this segment here today our guest, we have from the UN Women, Tupo Vere. Warm welcome to you. Bulavinaka, and we also have Taini Vanua Vo Bolambasanga, who is the project officer from the Girl Guides. Well, welcome to you too. Bulavinaka. Well, let's just start off how the Girl Guides and the UN got together.
Okay. I guess I'll start off. The
Sure.
UN Women Pacific office based here in Fiji started a project called the Pacific Regional Ending Violence Against Women Facility Fund in 2009. And through this project, we invite civil society organizations such as Fiji Girl Guides Association and governments from 8 Pacific Island countries, which covers also Fiji, to submit applicants for funding support. And through that support of up to $100,000, they're able to implement work that address violence against women. And that's our linkage with Fiji Girl Guides, is that we are able to support Fiji Girl Guides through this project for them to undertake work amongst young women in Fiji. And alongside the grant support, we provide also training support, because ending violence against women is a very specialized area of work as well, and
Yes.
quite challenging.
Yes, I would
And
imagine.
So we do have a lot of our grantees personnel who we support to attend trainings such as those organized by the Fiji Women's Crisis Center. Every year they run a month-long training in Fiji, and there's a group up to about 60 people from governments, police, health, education, and NGOs, and faith-based organizations that attend training here in Fiji. So we'll be also providing that kind of assistance to Fiji Girl Guides as a grantee.
Oh, that's great. So, Salote, you might like to share with us how you do your trainings for this together with the UN Women. But, you've mentioned about violence, which is, like you said, a huge challenge. As Nicola mentioned, 2 out of 3 women through domestic violence are being abused. So, at the Girl Guides point of view, how are you training your Girl Guides on the issue of women?
Thank you. With the Fiji Girl Guide Association, our programs are school-based in all schools in Fiji, and our programs are divided into 3 levels, and the programs are designed to develop young girls to reach their potentials, and also to prepare them on how to be responsible for their needs and also for the needs of others, and also to prepare them to be confident and to be able to make informed decisions. So in the schools, our program is an extracurricular program that is held in primary school level, and it focuses to girls as early as 7 to 10. So that level is for the brownie, the younger girls, and for the guides, they are from 11 to 15. And also we have programs for the rangers who are in secondary school. For this program, we are just beginning to try and promote this program again in high schools. So this program is been taken by Girl Guide teachers that has been trained through our training program, where they are trained on how to take programs to the girls. So for this Stop the Violence program that we will be engaged in project, there is a badge curriculum that has just been developed by our World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts in partnership with UN Women, that has just been piloted in 20 countries in the world.
Okay.
So Fiji is fortunate now to be able to get to implement this curriculum as well.
It must be something new for Girl Guides to be talking about such a serious issue like as violence. So, I mean, you must have a very good way of doing it, because I know Girl Guides, they teach everything. Everything is good. But I thought, like with the violence bit, that's something new.
Yes, it is new, but according to the training that we conduct with our teachers, part of the training content is on abuse. So all forms of abuse. So we sometimes invite experts from other organizations that can work in partnership with us to educate our teachers as well more on the issue. So for this project that we are about to embark on, we've got support from Fiji Women's Crisis Center, and also we hope to work in partnership with UN Women Fiji office on how they can also assist us in training.
This is really good and very interesting to be training children to look at such a real issue. I mean, you never know, maybe, who knows, some of the children may be facing this form of violence at home with their parents. You never know. So how do you teach them? Like, for example?
Yes, with the badge curriculum that we have, the activities have been designed in different levels. So there are workbooks, there are activity books that for the girls at different levels. As for the brownies, from the age of 7 to 11, and it goes up to also guides and the ranges. So first, we are to train the teachers who will be implementing the activities and also monitoring the activities with the girls. So the girls have certain activities and games, maybe at the lower level. For the brownies, it's just an awareness how they to educate them to identify forms of violence and to know what to do. So the activities have been designed in different levels.
Yes.
So the teachers will be trained before they will implement the curriculum.
Well, that's wonderful. We'll be back for more. Very interesting topic. Yes, teaching our children to recognize violence. I think it's very good. Now, for Gold FM, we'll be back in a moment. This is Gold FM, only the classic hits, as we continue with the talkback. This is live on radio, but a delayed coverage shown on FBC TV. So if you'd like to call and we'll just have a question for the wonderful women that we have in the studio with us today, you're most welcome to. We don't have much time, so you better call quickly, 3220-907. But just picking up on the very interesting topic of teaching our young ones of recognizing violence. Well, to Poe, it's a new thing and it's going to be implemented soon. What do you think?
In fact, this is a second of the project that we are supporting from UN Women that is working amongst young women. Another example we have is in Tonga through the Talitha project, and we say that the vulnerabilities that young women forms a major part of the population that are vulnerable to violence, either because they are experiencing violence through what they see that their mother or elder female siblings or relatives are facing, and they also carry that suffering and harm with them, or they themselves are subjected to violence. And we see a lot of reports of young people, children, young women, girls being subjected to violence. That's why it's very important for us to support such an initiative this is to support efforts that really address the problems of violence faced by young women, and for them to recognize what is violence against women. How do you know that what you are facing at home or in the school or in the community when you're walking down and men are whistling or making faces at you, to recognize that is violence and that is sexual harassment.
Yes.
And most of we find that actually recognizing what violence is very important.
Yeah, that's
for you to be able to do something about it.
Yeah, that's right, because as we were discussing with Nicola, how it is in the Pacific, they seem to think, how we brought up, okay, you the sisters, you serve your brother, like that. Or, like we think it's okay that we listen to whatever the men say. They're the boss. So like when you have these programs, you're actually teaching our children something different besides. So it's very important that your family background, your home should not be, using this type of teaching. Like, just treat your girls and boys the same, right? Yeah. The boys can wash dishes, boys can, do what the women do, right?
Yes. And we used to have a project we support in Fiji that was organized through the Ministry of Education, and this is working amongst young men and young women, and encouraging them to have respectful relationships with each other in schools or at home, in school, in the
Exactly.
community, so that this is one way of changing the kind of behavior you have towards someone of different, who is different from you,
Right.
by virtue of their sex or their ethnicity or background, social background. And that program is also another one that we supported and moved actually beyond girls and looking at everyone in schools.
This is really the way to go, and I do take my hat off for this, and especially to our friend here, Salote, about Girl Guides. So, how do people join Girl Guides again? I mean, girls?
Yes, with girls, they can join from their schools. If they the extracurricular activity program is also in their schools, they can register from their schools. Also, we have a brownie pack that is run at our headquarters for the younger age group, and the program runs every Tuesday afternoon. So, if there are parents listening in, and the girls, their girls are aged between 7 to 11, they can always call our headquarters, our office, and enroll their young girls into the Brownie headquarter group that we have at the office. But in schools, they can always join and register through the schools, either in Brownie or Girl Guides, so that the teachers, they register to our headquarters. So that's how they can join the program.
And I reckon that'll be the way to go. Can't beat Girl Guides, that's for sure. Who can beat them? I mean, life skills and all that, and now you're getting this program that you're going to be implementing. Good luck with it. It'll be nice to see what the reaction of the children will be. But to Paul, maybe just a message from you, being, an Itauke, what the culture is like. What would you like to tell the men and women who are listening now?
No, to thank you very much, Louise. I'd just like to say that reaffirm the fact that violence against women is very real, and also violence faced by girls. It's happening around us, and we need to reach out to groups such as Fiji Girl Guides, Fiji Women's Crisis Center, governments who are doing work in this area. If you're facing problems at home or and you know of somebody who's facing problems, please reach out to these organizations for solution, and they will guide you. There's also lines that you could call from, through 917 of the Fiji Police Force. If you would like to report something that is taking place, and that is, it's violence, and even the threat of violence is considered as such, and oftentimes you receive threatening remarks, and you don't. Oh, it was just a threat. It's not violence, but it's actually a violence, and we should name it for what it is, and we encourage everyone to those who are listening to do something about it. And Fiji has a very high statistic. More than 3 in 5 women face violence in our homes, and even when they are pregnant and they report to the antenatal clinics, there's a lot of women who are coming there being harmed, subjected to abuse by their partners, and we need to stop this.
Absolutely. We need to stop it. Come International Women's Day, let's just put our hands together, men and women, and let's just walk forward to a much brighter future of living in equality and respect for each other, just as Tupo had mentioned. But thanks so much for your time on Speak Your Mind today. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your company.
Thank you.
Yes, and we'll be back next week on Tuesday once again, live on Gold FM. Only the classic hits, delayed coverage on FBC TV every Tuesday night, as well as Wednesday mornings. Vinaka.